Hi, I'm Ewan and I'm joined today by Kieran and Shannon from Press Start Australia. We are looking at some Guardians of the Galaxy gameplay. Kieran, you had the opportunity to play, I think it's like an early mission from the game, is that right?
Yeah, so the footage you're looking at, I got to play sort of between the 4th and the 6th chapters, which is fairly early in the game.
And this is like there was like the one mission you kind of got to play. Like set the scene for us. Like, what are you being tasked to do here?
So in what you'll be seeing now, the Guardians have just attempted to sell Rocket to Lady Hellbender, who's a monster collector, and I personally made some poor decisions and things went awry. I think they were going to go awry in any case, but I subsequently annoyed Rocket enough that he let loose on Lady Hellbender and we had to sort of escape. So that's what you'll be seeing now is the Guardians kind of ducking and running and fighting Lady Hellbender's forces on their way out.
Yeah, we're watching like some of the combat take shape at the moment here. I guess like the interesting thing was about this is like when we first kind of heard about it, we kind of assumed that we're going to get to play as all the Guardians, but you do in fact kind of, it is centered on Star-Lord and you play as him.
Yeah.
How does that kind of then translate into these combat scenarios?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think obviously coming off of Marvel's Avengers, people would have gotten the idea that it was a similar format, and it was interesting for them to have picked, the most, I guess, human character among the Guardians of the Galaxy, the least kind of unique from a gameplay perspective, but the way that sort of they justify Star-Lord being in control is that he's the leader of the Guardians. So everything that you do, everything that I did in the hands-on, whether it was in dialogue or in exploration or in combat, centered around him making the hard decisions, taking the leadership role and sort of corralling everyone into a unified group.
I think we're seeing an example of that now. Like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. Is this what they call like a huddle up or something? Is that right?
Yeah, so that's the huddle. So that's something you can initiate in combat after you've kind of built a meter, and it's kind of like your last ditch save. So if things go wrong, I think I accidentally activated it at this part actually. But if things start to go sour, if your teammates start to be downed or enemies are overwhelming you, you can huddle up. And the idea here is to listen to your team and how they're feeling about the battle, and then you get a choice of how to respond. And whether or not you respond in a way that they agree with or it kind of falls flat determines whether everyone gets resurrected and gets like a buff for the rest of combat. Or it just Star-Lord kind of hypes himself up and nobody else, and you kind of keep going from there.
Explain like what's happening with combat. Like we just saw like 4 face buttons pop up over that enemy there. Like how is that working?
Yeah. So again, being in the leadership role, it's up to Star-Lord and by proxy the player to kind of direct the other Guardians, and they all have their own unique abilities that you sort of unlock. You can see like I've earned ability points here. You can spend those on unlocking new abilities, and it's interesting. Probably the best thing I can compare it to, which Ewan will understand, is Final Fantasy VII Remake, where you can kind of slow down time and you can pick your teammates' abilities for them, and use that as an advantage to kind of gain ground. So
it does look like that's happening a lot faster though than Final Fantasy Remake did. Like, I like that you say that it's that huddle moment where you kind of get an opportunity to strategize, but do you kind of otherwise not get an awful lot of opportunity to pause and think? You have to kind of make those decisions on the fly.
It's interesting because that actually factors into one of the accessibility options that I noticed, and that's you can actually adjust how much time slows down when you do this. So you can have it be more real time, or you can have it slow right down. So I was kind of in the middle there, where I preferred to just kind of make those quick on the fly decisions. But you can, if you want to, you can sort of hold it there for longer and really kind of strategize with what you're going to do.
Very cool. And one of the things that's standing out most to me watching this now is just like how cool the setting is as well. Like, will this be an environment that's familiar with fans of the series, or like be it the movies or the comics?
I think it depends on your the depth of your knowledge of the Guardians. Like, I've only sort of experienced it through the films, but Lady Hellbender, from what the developers have said in the past, is a character that hasn't really popped up too frequently, and this is her fortress that you're seeing. So
right.
I think they've kind of pulled from like the deep cuts of the Guardians lore, which is cool.
And you've just picked up some basic components there. Is that
Yes.
is that like indicating there's some crafting in the game? What do those do?
There's a little bit of crafting. So you do come across workbenches. There's one on the Milano on the ship, which you go to in between chapters, and there's some out in the world as well. And they essentially just let you upgrade Star-Lord's abilities. So
Right.
separate to unlocking abilities for combat, he has his own buffs. Things like extra health or extra shields or extra moves that you sort of need to unlock. But there's only, as far as I can tell, 2 types of crafting materials, so it's not overly complex.
Yeah. And you picked up like a note a second ago, which indicates there might be some kind of like little bits of lore and stuff dotted around.
Yeah.
Like what
So-
was your sort of experience of the storytelling in the game as a whole?
Well, I mean, out of context of the rest of the game's story, I mean, it's hard,
Yeah.
but it seems to sort of, when you're in the chapters themselves, when you're going to these different places, it's all very environmental. There's lots of banter between the Guardians. There's me just completely failing a jump there. Yeah, lots of really
Happens to the best
kind
of
of
us. It's okay.
humorous, lots of humorous banter between the Guardians, and those occasional bits of lore and stuff. I think the only collectibles I came across were those crafting components and
I just saw an outfit there.
those
That
lore
looked pretty
pieces, and
cool,
then
like-
the outfits, which seem to be a lot harder to find than anything else. But there's some cool ones I saw based on like the films, based on I think some old comics as well, some variants of the designs.
And we're back in another combat sequence here. That meter on the left, it's kind of filling up with like it looks like a combo meter. Is that what that is?
Yeah, so that's like almost like a Devil May Cry style combo meter where you get rewarded for being super stylish, not getting hit.
Right.
And as far as I can tell, the only thing that really contributes is the amount of XP that you earn at the end of an encounter.
Yeah. And the left one, like R1 button prompt I see in the bottom right, that's not the huddle, is it? That's some sort of ultimate ability?
So the L1 and R1 is to activate the huddle.
Right, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that meter, that pink meter underneath, is indicating that it's ready.
Nice.
Essentially.
And the guns we seem to be using at the moment like apply like an ice effect. Like is elemental damage an element in this as well?
There is elemental damage in the areas that I played. All I had was ice.
Okay.
But yeah, you can use that to disrupt shields. There's a moment early on in the video that you would have seen where there was like a drone coming after the team, and I had to freeze that. So it's useful in combat, but it's also used for like environmental stuff and exploration as well.
Yeah, I think I just watched you tell Drax to go and like pick up an explosive canister and piff that at the enemies. That was really neat. I'm liking the look of this. This looks like a lot of fun. No doubt we'll hear more from you about the game soon as well. When do we get our next kind of taste of Guardians? Are you able to reveal that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It's out on October 26th, so...
In the lead up to then.
Yes.
I love that. Awesome. Thanks very much, guys.
But there's a really nice piece on the website that sort of goes into more of the player choice, both from a story point of view and gameplay. So go read that. It might be a little bit more coherent than us rambling for hours. Yeah.